Heartfelt condolences to the loved ones of 42-year-old Anastasio Hernandez Rojas. He put up a fight, but he was no match for tens of thousands of volts that induced neuromuscular incapacitation and ultimately death. The Mexican man was killed while struggling with La Migra in San Diego, California. Christian Ramirez, immigration rights activist, joins us. Mr. Ramirez, thank you for joining us. Tell us, that we don't know so much about this man. We knew just the very basics. Can you kind of go over the basics of who this man was?
Well, like many other migrants, he came to the United States when he was just 14 years old, had lived most of his life in San Diego. He was a construction worker, a very hard worker, leaves behind 5 U.S.-born children, a wife of 21 years, and he lived and worked in the working-class neighborhood of Encanto in eastern San Diego. A tragic and violent ending to a migrant story here at the U.S.-Mexico border.
And I'm just trying to understand the details of the story a little bit more. Then why is it that he had to get into a fight with Border Patrol agents right along that border in the San Ysidro point of entry?
Well, we're still asking the U.S. and Mexican authorities to make transparent and make public the reasons why Border Patrol agents used excessive force to detain a migrant who was about to be turned over to Mexican authorities for deportation. The incident occurred in an area in which migrants are deported every single day by the hundreds. These migrants are searched, are processed, and are in a very restricted zone. There is no justification to use this sort of force in an area that's still in control by the federal government. Anastasio Hernandez Rojas was in custody by the Border Patrol, about to be turned over to Mexican authorities, and this is really something that points to the fact that U.S. immigration authorities are not properly trained to deal with migrants, especially those who are in their custody.
I don't know if you had done this already, but I want to add in the fact that he is a 42-year-old father of 5. Let me go down also that avenue that you had said about Border Patrol agents not really being trained to handle these kinds of situations. The use of a taser, there are various human rights groups, such as Amnesty International, who believe the use of a taser is really unjustified, that it is cruel and unusual punishment. Is this kind of how you feel about this incident, especially that resulted in the death of this 42-year-old father of 5?
There is no question, according to eyewitnesses, according to many of the folks that passed through the busiest port of entry in the world, at Tijuana-San Diego border crossing, that excessive force was used. According to eyewitnesses, up to 20 agents may have participated in the beating of Anastasio. To some witnesses, he was kicked, punched, and tased while he was on the floor. Obviously, this is an excessive use of force. The medical examiner's office yesterday ruled this a homicide, and we are asking the federal government to ensure that a criminal investigation be opened immediately so that the perpetrators responsible for the death of Anastasio Hernandez Rojas be brought to justice.
20 Border Patrol agents versus one 42-year-old man. I'm not exactly liking those odds. I'm going to go ahead and read you a real quick quote by the U.S. Border Patrol that they had sent to us yesterday when we had tried to pursue the story, and that's this. The subject became combative. After repeated orders to seize, one of the officers deployed a taser to subdue the individual and maintain officer safety. Now, a lot of people will come out and say, look, this guy was putting up a fight. They had to do what they had to do. Do you have a response to that?
This, again, Mr. Hernandez Rojas was in the custody of Border Patrol agents. He was in a controlled area, a very restrictive area. We are asking the federal government to let us know what sort of training Border Patrol agents receive. This is classified documents. We have been asking this from the Obama administration for the past year, precisely because we have reason to believe and documentation to prove that there's a pattern of human rights abuse along the border, and it has to do with improper training. It has to do with the fact that there is very little accountability over Border Patrol agents, and this is part of the recommendations that we have given the Obama administration since he took office, since President Obama took office. Obviously, Mr. Obama has failed to listen to our request to provide proper training to agents, to have transparency in investigations, and almost a week after the incident, we do not know what the status of the officers involved. We don't know if they are in administrative leave. We don't know if they have been disciplined in any sort of way. And the fact that this incident occurred in the midst of one of the most anti-immigrant climates in the United States, it's really a strong message that we want to send to the Obama administration that this is a moment to demonstrate that he is truly committed to protecting the civil rights and reforming the immigration system of the United States. This incident could have been avoided. It wasn't, and those responsible for the death and the murder of Anastasio Hernandez Rojas must be brought to justice.
Mr. Ramirez, I'm going to go ahead and switch gears here just a little bit, and I'm going to do that because you brought up the anti-immigration climate and President Obama. Of course, you know that the governor of Arizona, Jan Brewer, met with President Obama today, had a meeting with him, which she described as cordial. Do you, at this point, have a response to that meeting?
Well, we want to make sure that President Barack Obama ensures that the civil liberties and the human rights of all people who live in the United States are protected. This is still a democracy. This is still a country that is ruled by law. And we cannot afford to have a governor running amok in Arizona implementing one of the most xenophobic and backwards pieces of legislation seen in the modern history of the United States. We need more than just meetings. We need more than just pretty speeches by the president. We need to make sure that justice is done. A murder was committed at the U.S.-Mexico border under the color of law, and those responsible must be brought to justice. This has to be done particularly now, in which migrant communities are facing one of the biggest onslaughts of racism and xenophobia, and for the Department of Justice to not act promptly and to not act in accordance to law. Will send a very bad message to the immigrant rights movement that has been peaceful, that has been organizing throughout the United States, demanding justice, and without a doubt, what happened at the U.S.-Mexico border is a crime that needs to be investigated thoroughly.
Christian Ramirez, pro-immigration, pro-immigration activist. Thank you for joining us from San Diego.